Hey guys, my name is Yasmina, and as of today, I am a published author. That definitely feels really crazy to say, but it is true. Today, November 6th, as you're watching this, my debut novel, Hunting Vienna, a young adult contemporary adventure, is officially out, which means I am officially a published author. Hunting Vienna follows the story of Dan, an anxious 18-year-old who stumbles upon a scavenger hunt of historical artifacts in Vienna, Austria, and it's up to him and his friends to win the competition before the time runs out so that Dan can pay for his mother's surgery. It is a story about friendship, mental health, and coming of age, all wrapped up in a fun scavenger hunt type competition in Vienna, Austria, with a lot of history and real life locations and all that fun stuff. A lot of nerdy references as well, because my characters are all very nerdy. It is the first book in a planned episodic series, which means that each book has a plot that starts and ends in each individual book, but the overarching plot and the character arcs thread through the entire series. So you could read this and the other books in the series as standalones if you so wanted, but you can also read them as a series. If that sounds like something you would enjoy reading, or if you know someone who would enjoy reading it, link in the description to find out more, to buy it, all that good stuff. It would help me out a lot if you could add it to your Goodreads shelf. But today, in this video, to celebrate the release, I just wanted to have a little chat with you guys, show you the original kind of ideas and notes that I had more than 10 years ago when I first came up with the idea for this book, and then I also am going to read you the first chapter. And I will leave timestamps down below so you can skip. But yeah, so this is the finished copy of Hunting Vienna. Isn't she pretty? I'm so happy with the way it turned out. It is beautiful. But the origins of this book are not as beautiful. I actually dug and I found the original notes that I wrote, I think back in 2010 or 2011, so a very, very long time ago. Disregarding the fact that I feel very old when I think about how long it's been. So back in 2010 or 2011, I think that very first notes I ever had of this book, like an idea for this book, I wrote down on these 3 pieces of paper. So you can see like how destroyed they are. Most of this didn't end up in the actual book, but I just wanted to show you because I think this is funny. First of all, you can see how old this piece of paper is by how damaged it is. Also, I think it's funny how my mom just used this very important piece of paper to write down a random phone number that she had to call. And I'm pretty sure she was the one who spilled coffee on this piece of paper as well, so you know. But it lived. It lived through all of that, and I kept it just for nostalgic purposes, but these are some of the first ever notes and like ideas for the clues for the scavenger hunt inside my book, so you can see some of these are actually still in the book, so I'll give you a little spoiler of the first clue in my book is find the blood sword, and you can see that right here. This was still the first clue back then, all that time ago, so it's still in the final book. Some of these are not. And then I also have this notebook, which again, you can tell how old it is by how damaged it is, but I have a lot of notes in this one about mainly sort of character arcs and who Dan, my main character, is. I think maybe these notes came before the notes on those pieces of paper. It's been so long, I don't remember, but here I wrote new freaking story. And then I sort of started developing it, so I assume this came before that, and then pretty much the rest of this notebook is like notes and ideas about this book. So yeah, it has been a very, very long time since the first ever idea I had for this book, and when I finished the first draft, I actually made a YouTube video, and I'll insert a quick clip right here. This is the thing, this is my novel. Look at all that I've created! Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was exactly 10 years ago when I finished the first draft. I have since gotten rid of that first draft because it was like literally this thick and I didn't need that. I now have proof copies that I can print out in an actual book form, which saves me money and space. This is the finished copy and I'm so proud of this book, and I really hope that you pick it up, and if you do, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you leave a review because reviews are very important for indie authors. So if you read the book, please leave an honest review on Amazon and Goodreads. It would help me out a lot. I have many more books that I want to publish. This is just the beginning. I'm so excited. I've waited for this moment for so long, and I know that once I got the first one out, the next will come more swiftly, and they will be. I have 4 more completed drafts of other books that I'm planning on working on to actually publish, and then, like I mentioned, I will publish more books in this series, and I'm currently finishing the first draft of the sequel. And thank you so much for following along with this journey and for your support. Yeah, if you want to continue supporting me, the best way to do so right now would be to buy a copy of my book for yourself or for someone you know who might enjoy it. Without further ado, I want to read you the very first chapter of Hunting Vienna. You can also read this if you sign up for my newsletter. You can actually read the first 2 chapters for free if you sign up to my newsletter, link in the description. I just thought it would be fun if I read it to you, so we will do that. I am not a professional narrator, so please bear with me. Make yourself a cup of tea or something and just maybe have this video in the background as I read you the first chapter of my book, Hunting Vienna by iasminaedinabusiness. 1. Mom and I play Dungeons and Dragons every Friday after I come home for university. It was her idea, I swear. There's no game board, just some rule books, a couple of miniatures, and our boundless imagination. We leave our problems at the door and enter the minds and world of our D&D characters. In my case, it's an elven ranger with a tragic backstory called Daniel Evergloom, who seeks vengeance through wit and humor. Next time, I should pick something less realistic. The dungeon master, my mother, takes us through the story, complete with monster voices and mysterious background music. She also plays Daniel's loyal paladin sidekick, Russ Beardet. We sit at the rickety kitchen table and roll dice to make attacks on the creatures we encounter. The greater the number, the more damage we inflict, but it must be higher than the enemy's armor, otherwise we miss. We've been adventuring through the same campaign for 2 months, and tonight was supposed to be a turning point. That point, however, turns out to be both of our characters dying. Mom drops her head in her hands. No! I'm sorry, I say, but words are meaningless. The damage is done. I rolled a 7 when we needed a 9 to escape the icy claws of the frost salamander who just wiped out our party. I cannot believe I lost all my gold to a reptile, Mom says. What's it going to do with it? Replace its scales with shiny coins? Her frizzled auburn hair looks blonde under the light from the overhead lamp, and her glasses hang askew on her nose. I've been told that I look like the boy version of her, lankier and less refined. We finally convinced that wizard to lend us his magic hat, she wails. I had so many plans for it. We've tried getting our hands on that enchanted item the last 3 weekends. I should have known nothing good could come out of this cursed Friday. I'm half expecting a giant fireball to come barreling along the horizon on a mission to destroy the Earth. First target? Me. This 18-year-old bloke called Dan from Blackpool. No reason. I seem an easy kill. I sneak a glance out the window as Mom clears off the table. No evil ball of flames in the sky. Yet. Though with the raging thunderstorm rattling the windows, perhaps there's a different fiery end in store for me. Want to go again? She asks, setting the miniatures back to their starting positions. I exaggerate a yawn. I'm tired. Let's try tomorrow. Alright, pass me the player's handbook, will you? Mom asks. I'm switching to a mage. This paladin was useless. Sure. I slide over the book, which belongs to my friend Adam, but he hasn't played with us in a while, so he left it here. He's also the one who bought us the official figurines, though he also used my makeshift wooden figures I've had since I was 9 years old. I search for a distraction. Should I heat up dinner? It shouldn't be too bad, but it was in the expired bin. She flips through the pages. Just chuck some ketchup on it. I get up to open the fridge. It's empty, but for the box of thawing lasagna. I should have brought over more food. I didn't realize I'd passed the supermarket until I was almost home. So I nipped into the nearest petrol station and bought the most edible-looking thing they had left, and edible is a stretch. I hold the lasagna up to my nose. Ah, cheap tomato sauce. How I've missed you. Ever since I moved out, my diet consists of instant noodles and soda that's so black it's pure caramel. During the days I spend with Mom, we try to make something nice for dinner. Except tonight, clearly. Might as well write off the entire day at this point. I dread to think what else can go wrong. I throw the frozen dinner inside the microwave and blast it, watching it go round and round. Sometimes I feel like this lasagna, rotating under pressure, getting warmer and warmer until I explode, coating the walls of the oven with my mess. Daniel? Mum calls from the table, rudely interrupting my downward spiral. I say, still following the spinning food. What's wrong? She asks. I turn. She hasn't taken her eyes off the handbook. Nothing. She lets out a long sigh, then peers up at me. There's a reason I keep telling you to stop trying to manipulate your way out of garden counters. You're rubbish at it. An obnoxious beep announces the meal is ready. I take it out to check its doneness level. As expected, the inside is a frozen wasteland, while the top layer is burnt. 3 more minutes should do the trick. Mom is clearly waiting for me to say something because her eyebrows have migrated into her fringe. I shrug. Everything's fine. By no stretch of the imagination is anything fine, let alone everything. After a while, she sighs again. Sweetheart, you're ruining the food. The timer is still running, but now there's a clear scent of charcoal cheese in the air. I pop open the microwave door. What used to be a toasty top is now the aftermath of a volcano. The surviving tomato sauce has broken through the ashy surface and is pulsating out in waves. I think we're going to need more ketchup, I say. Sweetheart, come here, Mom beckons. I take my time laying down the cremated pasta dish, then return to the table. She hands me a 20-sided die. It's her lucky one, the one with purple specks inside. Under a 5 and you tell me what's on your mind. And over a 5? I ask, skeptical. You get to help me into the bath, while also telling me what's on your mind. She's good at this. There's no way out of it now, I suppose. I have to tell her. I roll the die, and it lands on a 10. Mum perks up immediately. I'll run the bath. Pour me a glass of red, will you? We can eat later. When I uncork the bottle, drops of wine land on the very important stacks of paper on the countertop. Shit. I unfold the document to check the damage and curse under my breath again, because this is the one reason I've been avoiding telling Mum about today. The damn letter from Dr. Malik. We only received it last week. It's been haunting me ever since. He recommended a treatment for Mum's spinal injury. It's a new drug, so it's not yet covered by our national health system. When we first read the letter, it seemed unlikely that we could afford the cost, £10,000. After today, well, it's impossible. I wish my life would be more like my friends, Adam and Jamie, who are traveling through the mainland Europe on their year off. They asked me to come along, offering to cover some expenses, but I couldn't. Aside from the lack of funds, the mere notion of being away for months in unfamiliar countries sends me into shivers. Plus, there's Mum, of course. I wipe the wine off the recommendation letter as best as I can and replace it on the growing stack of unpaid bills and receipts. It's ready, Mum calls from the bathroom. As always, I leave her drink on the edge of the tub and help lift her from her wheelchair. She's already undressed herself. In the beginning, it was weird seeing her naked. She's my mother, after all. Those two things shouldn't go together. But I've been doing this for so long now that it doesn't faze me anymore. She's gotten heavier over the years, and my scrawny arms tremble a little as I lower her into the warm bath water. Overall, she's decently mobile considering she lost 70% of the sensitivity in her spine in the car accident. During the week, a social worker comes over to cook her meals and help her get ready for work. She's a part-time cashier at the local grocery store. It's not much, but she loves it. And on the weekend, it's my duty to take care of her any way I can. Thanks, sweetie, she says, her glasses fogging up. She takes them off and places them next to the wine glass. You're so much better looking suddenly. She makes this joke every single time. It's never been funny, but I chuckle nonetheless. Mom relaxes into the bath, only her neck and up visible from the bubbles. Now, what happened? I close the toilet lid and sit down. Sergio's been a tad weird lately, I start, in what I hope is a casual tone. My cousin is a tad weird at the best of times. Recently, however, he went off the rails. Has he made the cook cry again? Mom asks. Today, he forced him to boil his own socks along with the kitchen stock and watched him slurp it all. Every last spoonful. Bless him, she says, taking a sip of wine. Bless him? He's a maniac. He's family. Ah, there it is. The counter-argument to win all arguments. If I ended up dead by Sergio's hand, I'm positive Mom would shrug and say, he's family, Daniel must have offended him. As if sharing the same chaotic sequence of DNA excuses him from being a complete bellend. Well, apparently that means sod all to him, because after the new chef left in tears, he turned to the rest of us and fired everyone on the spot. My words reverberate off the cream tiles. It's not as if this is my lifelong career. It's a shitty job for an even shittier employer, but it was my job. And no matter how I try to rationalize it, I still feel like a massive failure. Mom takes a longer sip. Your dad already told me. Sergio called him earlier, and then he called me. Oh, and here I was believing I've just dropped this bomb on her, and you didn't think to mention this to me because... She shrugs. I like these little talks we have. I cannot believe her right now. We talk all the time. In case you haven't noticed, Mother, my only 2 friends have left the country, possibly never returning. And I don't exactly have a battalion of chums at uni to share my sorrows with. No, you don't, she agrees. Instead, I have the honor of listening to everything that's on your precious little mind. Did Mum just insult me? So he fired you, she says, slyly getting back to the point. Again, I add. Again. She lets that hang in the air for a moment. It's time for you to find a different job, she tells me. It's not like I haven't considered this a million times. Do I enjoy washing dishes for my manic relative for marginally more than minimum wage? Of course not. But university housing is expensive. And since my dear father doesn't support us much, Mum's income alone can't cover everything. I need a job to help pay for the halls and textbooks and things. Sergio's place is near the halls, so it's easier to work there instead of finding something new. After all, it's only 3 years. Once I graduate, I can earn a fair bit even from a starting position in graphic design. Mom enjoys her drink, contemplating for a moment. I could ask for a position for you at the supermarket, stacking shelves. It wouldn't be for much, and it's bloody hard work. As long as the manager doesn't abuse their employees. She gives me a dismissive glance. Your cousin isn't the villain you make him out to be. I fear for my life every morning when I step inside the place. You're being dramatic again. I would never. I even press a hand over my chest for emphasis. Is that a sliver of a smile on her lips? Look, I say, rubbing my knuckles into my eye sockets. I'll find another job, I promise. Something nice, quiet. A library? Imagine surrounding yourself with all those books every day. Except librarians pore over endless spreadsheets and need to deal with irritable patrons. And dear, I love you, but you're not a people person. She's on fire tonight. Alright then, not libraries. I'm studying architecture and design, and the idea of a desk job, drawing up plans or creating graphic ads and user interfaces for apps, is appealing. But no company would hire a teenager with 0 qualifications. I'll figure something out, okay? Trust me, please. I only want the best for you. She usually only says this because what she says next is the opposite of best. I thought working there would help. You seemed less anxious recently, so I figured it was going well. It was the meds I switched to during the past 3 months that helped the anxiety. But it's not a cap, more like a flimsy plaster over a faucet. It trickles out until the adhesive can't handle the pressure anymore. Boom. Mom shrugs, gazing at the bubbles melting away in the scalding water. Also, I say, knowing she wants the conversation to end, I need to be sure about one more thing. What about, the letter? She waves her hand. Don't worry about that. It's not as if we could afford the treatment anyway. But Daniel, honestly, she smiles. The success percentage is lower than I'd like. I'm happy the way I am. Why try changing it? Because it's not right, because the accident shouldn't have happened, and because maybe I can make it better. The doorbell goes off, and my heart skyrockets. We aren't expecting anyone. Mom frowns. Well, go see who it is. If they ask for me, I'm not in. She blows me a kiss and shoos me off. Whoever is at the door sure is insistent as they spam the ringer. There's no peephole to see through, so I open the door. A deadpan Jamie marches right past me, drops her dripping backpack on our kitchen floor, and announces, I did not miss this wretched weather. One hand still clenching the door handle, I follow her with my eyes, pressing my lips tightly together to keep from grimacing. She squeezes water out of her long blonde ponytail and smirks at me with her perfect pearly whites. 1 hour back in the country after months, and the flight was late, the taxi dropped me off in the wrong spot, and now I'm drenched. Typical. Eyeing the setup on the kitchen table, she adds, Game night, is it? I hope you finished, because I have a massive favor to ask. The muscles on my mouth relax. Gently, I close the door, lean my forehead on the cool wooden surface, and shut my eyes. I knew the worst day ever had more tricks up its sleeve. You have to be joking, I whisper to no one in particular. This was harder than I thought. That was the first chapter of Hunting Vienna. Like I mentioned, if you want to also read the second chapter for free, head on over to the link in the description to sign up to my newsletter, and you can read the first 2 chapters. But that was it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time with a new video. Bye!